Hey, Coach, how's it going today?
What's up, Ron?
Good, man. So you delivered your first half 100 on Friday. As you've gone back and look at the film, what worked on offense and what didn't work.
Well, I think anytime you score that many points, at least in the time I've been doing this, you're normally going to get a touchdown on defense or a touchdown on special teams. So I think that was a team effort to get that amount of points. And then our field position was pretty incredible throughout the game, starting drives on the 3 and the 7 and the 30 or whatever it was, and just made it a lot easier. So I thought that was a team effort, obviously. And then threw the ball really efficiently. I thought the tempo was pretty consistent throughout the night. They had a lot of trouble getting lined up, and I think that's usually what leads to explosive plays. So I was happy to see us take another step in improving our offense. Still a long way to go, but I thought it was a positive step from week 1 to week 2.
And how would you grade Hank's performance in week 2?
Yeah, I thought he played really well. There's going to be always a couple plays you want back. But yeah, I mean, anytime you complete 70% of your passes and don't turn the ball over, I thought he did a lot of good things, and a lot of things people probably don't see: checking protections, audible and out of plays, took care of the ball. I think he took 1 sack. So I think, again, I think he's growing every week. He'll continue to get better, I think, as this goes, just the more comfortable he gets. And every time he goes through a game and gets those reps, whether it's a mistake or a positive play, he can bank that and come back and learn from it. And I thought, you saw that from week 1 to week 2.
And Hank's taken a couple of hits, but you guys have only given up 1 sack in 2 games. How much of that is due to Hank's decision-making, and how much of that's on the offensive line?
I think they go hand in hand, but I'd be the first to tell you that sacks are 80% on the quarterback. Any level of football, right? If you look at the great quarterbacks in the world, the elite quarterbacks, they don't get sacked because they get the ball out of their hand. And, we've talked a lot, obviously, with you guys about that. Was something just watching his film the last few years. I thought he was playing hero ball a little bit, just trying to throw a touchdown every play and hang on to the ball too long. And we've worked really hard at that as an entire quarterback room. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for getting the ball out of his hand. But I also think our running backs, tight ends, offensive line are doing a great job picking up pressures. Even the 1 sack we gave up, our center and tailback picked up the pressure. We probably held on to the ball too long. So I think, again, we're doing a good job as a unit protecting the quarterback right now.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thanks, Ron.
Hey, Tim.
What's up, Jay?
Tim, after the first game, I know you kind of joked that you might get labeled a conservative play caller. You obviously were anything about that against UTEP. It seemed like almost half your throws were 20 yards downfield. I know that it's going to change from week to week, but in terms of the tempo, the aggressiveness, how much more happy were you with what you saw against UTEP, and how much more does that kind of align with what you want to do on offense?
Yeah, I think, and I hope everyone out there knows, I have a sense of humor with that stuff, and I welcome all the criticism from everybody on all these things. It's why you take the job, I guess. But yeah, I definitely am not a conservative guy by nature. It's just the way I've been raised in this game is, if you think you're going to take 13, 14, 15 play drives consistently and score points, it's just not going to happen. So we got to create explosive plays. And I was happy to see us do that. And it was just kind of a strange game. I mean, there was a run there where I think the 14th play of the game we score, and then the 15th play of the game we score, and I think at halftime we had only run 29 plays and scored 41 points or something. So it's just kind of a strange game the way it all worked out. And so I think sometimes we can all get focused way too much on the stats, and we don't really understand the ins and outs of why those things take place. And so I do think that the criticism from week 1 was deserved from everybody. And other than my mom and wife, I think everyone's okay with it. But I think this week, if there's criticism for play calling, I would totally understand it. That's part of the deal. But I was happy with our tempo, like you said. I thought that was the key to our success, was how well we were able to get lined up and force the defense to have to communicate at our speed. And if we can play the game consistently that way, I think it'll make things a lot easier for everybody.
When Hank has the opportunity to throw the ball at a guy like Khalil Shakir, it obviously is helpful. How would you sum up Khalil's catch radius? Because it seems like if Hank puts that thing on planet Earth, Khalil's going to come down with it.
Yeah, that was pretty running out of like great adjectives to say, but that's pretty remarkable. Those 2 catches, like back-to-back drives. And I think that, I've coached some great receivers the last 7 to 10 years, whatever guys that have played in the NFL. And I think what makes him just pretty unique is that he can play all 3 spots. He lined up pretty much everywhere the other night. He can make contested catches. He can make catches in traffic and then get yards after the catch. He can run by people. So I just think he's a complete receiver in that regard. So obviously I'm new to watching him play. So I was kind of blown away by some of those plays. I don't think you guys were as blown away by him, but I think anyone that prepares as hard as he does and works as hard as he does is going to see the rewards of that work. And that's what I categorize those plays. I think he's made those catches in practice, and he's made those catches visualizing in his mind before it takes place. And that's why he's able to do it in games.
When it comes to Hank, even more so than stats or his ability to execute the offense, how impressed have you been with his demeanor? It just seems like he is just kind of an infectious guy on the sidelines in the game. And when he gets in, I mean, there was one point in time where it almost seemed like he wanted to go faster with the offense. But how impressed have you been with his demeanor?
Well, I think, Andy said it best when he got here, that for our quarterbacks to be successful, it was way more about them leading themselves first, right? Like he's got to lead himself so that he can lead others. And I really believe that's where his greatest steps have been made in the offseason. It's not anything physically or mentally. It's just been his ability to understand how important his role is from a leadership standpoint, that he himself needs to be held accountable to doing things the right way. And when he does that, he'll be able to hold his teammates accountable to doing it the right way. And so I'm super proud of him for that. He's very competitive and he works really hard. He prepares really hard. And I think he's starting to see the other part of playing the position, not just throwing the football. And that's the stuff that people don't see Sunday to Friday that his teammates are starting to respond to. And he's a guy that plays with a lot of fire and passion. And we've figured out, I think, a good way to have him use that in a positive. But we still got a long way to go. We'll keep working with him. He's a fun guy to coach, though, that's for sure. Thanks, Jay.
How's it going, Tim?
What's up, BJ?
Curious with the running game. I know we've asked you about this a couple of times. Andy was telling us that obviously George was still a little, bit of on a snap count, kind of like Khalil was the week before. But so maybe that's the answer. Just get him back for a full game. But what else do you see in terms of really trying to get some consistency going in the ground game?
Yeah, I think there's a couple answers to that, BJ. I mean, the first one is, I don't want to get too like X's and O's with you guys, but how you run the football in a shotgun offense is going to be categorized into 3 ways, right? So I can choose to have the wide receivers block on the perimeter, and that's how they're going to handle the extra tacklers in the box. You can choose to have the quarterback keep the ball and read the extra defender and decide if he's going to run with the ball, or you can run an RPO, which if they have an extra defender, we throw a pass play, right? So there's 122 yards in that game that we called a run play, but because they had so many guys in the box, he threw a pass, right? The touchdown pass to Steph Cobb's, the 60-yarder, that was a run play, right? The flats to Shaq, where he had a 30-yard gain on the 15th play of the game, and then he had another one, I think, on the 31st play of the game, right? Same play. That's 40 yards. We called a run play, but they load the box, so it becomes a pass play. So the first answer I would say is the way the offense is designed, sometimes you're going to look at the stat sheet, and it's going to be in the pass yard column, but that's part of our run game, right? That's just how you take advantage of what the defense is giving you. And they were loading the box. On the play that Steph caught the 60-yard touchdown, they had 10 guys in the run fit. So I don't care what run play you call, it's probably not going to work. The other side of it is we need to do a much better job as a staff coming up with schemes where we can run the ball and develop our mentality and create that consistency that you're talking about, where it's not an RPO, it's a true run play, and we're able to get off the ball and be physical. And I thought we started to do that in the fourth quarter. I think we ran the ball for close to 100 yards in the second half. And we had the drive where we started on the 5 and ran all the way out to the 50. I think it was all run plays. So I think we're starting to get there, BJ, but obviously we need to become more consistent there on the non-RPO run plays to where we can, pin our ears back and get physical and finish people. We're working really hard at that. I don't think it's a personnel thing. Obviously, George is a great player. When he's out there, we're going to be a better team. But I like our tailbacks. I like our guys up front. I think it falls more on me and the staff to come up with a good plan to keep us consistent there.
I don't think anybody would have predicted Tyler Crow would be leading the team in rushing after 2 games. As you've gotten to know him in the last 8 or 9 months, what's, as a walk-on, a local kid, to see him get a chance out there and do some things? I know it was, mop-up duty, so to speak, but what's Tyler like and having him around and what do you think of him?
Well, I think that Boise's been built on the shoulders of guys like Crow from my experience for a long time, guys that come in and have that blue collar mentality that's been built through them from just their upbringing. He's one of those guys that does everything right. And when you're someone like him, that's what you're going to have to do to be successful is I'm going to have to take the exact footwork. I'm going to have to read this perfectly every time, and I'm going to have to hit it perfectly every time. And he has pushed himself to become very efficient that way. And I think he's starting to see, again, the reward for the work he's put in. I think he does a lot of things on special teams for us that people don't see. But he's a great guy to coach because he's going to do it exactly the way you coach him to do it. So if he doesn't do it correctly, it's probably on you. It's not on him because he's always going to do it exactly the way you want. So happy for him. I definitely think he's a guy that'll keep getting some touches as the year goes just because he's consistent with what he does. And like I said, I really like that running back room. And I know everyone wants to have a 1,000-yard rusher. And, it may be one of those things where, again, I don't know how many yards we ran for as a team last year, but, it may be more of a team rushing attack than it has been in the past. And that's okay too. I hope we have a 1,000-yard rusher. I really do. But we have a lot of guys that can handle the ball. So we'll see.
Appreciate it, Tim. My Cardinals 1 game back now. We're coming for you.
BJ, take it easy. We got a brutal schedule. We're playing the Giants and the Dodgers. And I don't know. It's not looking good.
We play you guys next weekend. So
I know it's a big series. Coach Ridden, I got probably a Diet Coke on it or something. We'll see.
Nice. Thank you.
John, Mike, Will.
Thanks, Coach. How do you address, as BJ put it, mop-up duty? I mean, philosophically, do you guys run stuff that you don't want anybody else to see? I saw, Sears got to play almost a whole quarter. He only got to throw 1 pass. Is that because you don't want to rub it in or you don't want to show anything? Obviously, every play matters. How do you guys adjust it when you're beating a team by that many points?
Yeah, that's always a tough situation, John. A good situation to be in, obviously, but it's tough to handle because you want to play this game with class. You want to play this game with integrity. I know what it feels like to be on the other side of games like that. And so you're trying to find that, that balance of how do we play with class and integrity, finish this game the right way, but also give our guys an opportunity to play and do things, to where they can grow as players. So you got a lot of younger guys in the game at that point. You're trying to get them the reps so they can get better. A guy like Jack, you want to throw passes because you want to get him some reps, but you also don't want the other team to feel like, you're doing something that's classless or with a lack of integrity. So you're trying to walk that fine line there where it feels organic and not like you're rubbing it in. So not an easy situation, but if those are situations we're in a lot, I think we'd all be okay with it. But you're just trying to get guys enough reps to where they can grow to where that if they do have to go in crunch time, they've gotten enough reps in games where they've improved enough to where they feel more confident.
How has the tight end been used in this offense to your liking? I know there was a hop around, a big catch, and Riley's still trying to get things going. You said before the tight end was going to be a big part of this offense. Has it been?
I think we've missed some stuff, John. Like, I think we've had some big plays out of those guys that, Tyneal's touchdown. And I think, we missed a touchdown the week before to Riley where it was right there. We had a play called early in the game where it was incomplete to Davis Cutter, but we had Kurt wide open on a crossing route. And, so we haven't hit the passes that we've normally have hit, John, but I think that it's there and it's just going to happen organically as the offense keeps going. I do expect those guys to continue to be the guys that you're going to see on third down in the red area that are going to come up and make plays for us. And they're doing a good job blocking on the edge, doing things that people don't see. But I think their catches are going to come the more and more as teams start to realize, like, if you leave the first 2 games, there's a lot of man coverage. If you leave man coverage on our wideouts, it's going to be a tough day for you. So I think as teams start to change those coverages up, I think you'll start seeing some things get to the tight end more.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Hey, Tim, I know you've talked about George a little bit, but and you love all your running backs. that first carry the other night, the 10-yard touchdown run, he just looks different. Mm-hmm. Does he look different to you guys too? I mean, is he above everybody else and just looks different, plays different, acts different?
You know, it's tough to say that anyone's above anybody, Mike, you know, just being how you want to coach your team. But I will agree with you that he is an explosive player and probably one of our more explosive players on the entirety of the offense. Like if he gets in space and he's one-on-one with someone, you know, him and Shaq are probably the two guys that you feel the best about in that scenario. So I think that he's a very explosive player that has an innate ability to make the first guy miss, which I think all great running backs do. All the great running backs are never going to be tackled by the first guy. And that seems to be kind of his MO. So yeah, we had him on the pitch count, but it's funny. His first carry, he scores, right? So it's just kind of, that's what great players do. Just like Shaq did the week before as he's getting more healthy. So obviously we're hoping George gets healthy and can play more in the game, because I do think he's as talented as everyone can see. And I think the things that he does will make us a better offense from an explosive standpoint. But I do want to say again, Mike, I like all the backs. I think they all bring something unique to the table. I think Cyrus is different than George. I think Andrew is different than Cyrus and George. You know, I think Crow's different than that. I think Taquan's, I think Dan, I mean, they're all very unique that way. So all of them have their strengths and weaknesses. George is probably one of the more explosive guys in the room for sure. Like he's going to have more explosive home run hits than the other guys.
Andy mentioned it, saying that you guys are heading in the direction of no pitch count for George this week. I would imagine it depends on how it goes, but if all goes according to plan, no pitch count for George this week, 100% ready to go.
You know, I'm a history English major, Mike. I don't know much about the medical field, but if it's the same thing as Khalil Shakir, I would think like pitch count. And as we get healthier and healthier, we can get that thing back to normal. So I know I'm keeping my fingers crossed that there's no restrictions on him. I'm hoping that he's full go. But I don't think we'll know everything until probably the week goes and see how many reps we can get at practice, because we want him to get full practices so we can get his conditioning up and make sure we're doing what's best for him, even though we all want him to play. But I do think he'll have a higher load for sure. How much that is, we'll see as the week goes.
Sean Ojukwu, kind of quiet, but maybe that's a good thing. You kind of want your offensive lineman to be kind of quiet. And I did notice Saturday you ran behind him a couple of times. I think you even got a touchdown out of him. And how dominant, or in your opinion, whatever word you need to use, how good has he been this year?
I think he's been one of our best players on offense, Mike. I think if you're looking at, you know, MVP, guys are going to start throwing Shaq out there, obviously, for the numbers he puts up. But if you watch the film, you know, one of our most consistent, dominant guys on the offense has been OJ. And his work ethic from Sunday to Friday is unmatched as far as guys I've been around and coached. He has a real determination to be great. I could talk about him for a long time. I think he is one of our best players on offense. And obviously when you're up front, you're not going to get as much praise as the skill guys scoring the touchdowns, but very important to what we do for sure.
Can you lean on him more? Are you leaning on him more? Maybe even starting last week, Saturday night, as you try to get this run game going, to run behind John Moore?
Yeah, I think he's definitely someone that, you know, we want to try to steer things towards. You want to steer him towards your best players. But you can't do things so much, Mike, that it becomes obvious for the defense and they can defend those kind of things. So I think I'm leaning on him more just as a leader to try to create more of a consistency with our entire group. Like, hey, he's kind of showing the way. If you prepare for the game the way he does, you'll be as dominant as he is. And so I'm just proud of him and how he is bringing this group along. And I'm not going to be surprised when this thing starts going different in the run game, because they're going to follow his lead. And if they all follow his lead, we'll be doing a lot of good things.
Tim, appreciate your time.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, Tim, what stands out to you about Oklahoma State's defense?
A lot of things, Will. I mean, I think they're very, very unique in how they defend, which I think a lot of Big 12 defenses have had to create their own style to stop all these wide open offenses in that conference. They got a lot of returning starters, guys that have played a lot of football. They put a lot of pressure on the quarterback because they're just, you know, it's kind of like Star Wars out there. You can't really identify what the front is. There's just people moving all over the place, a lot of confusion. So we got our hands full this week. They're a good unit, so I'm excited for the challenge our guys are, but they're gonna definitely test us in a lot of ways.
Don't have to give away all your secrets, but when you're game planning for an opponent like Oklahoma State, will you watch like their first 2 games? Will you go back to last season? How do you game plan for them?
Yeah, I'm more of a film junkie, Will, so I'm going to watch every game that the defensive coordinator's ever called, kind of thing. Like I'm just going to try and get as much as I can and be in here and just grind it out and see if we can find any type of rhythm or consistency that's going to help us be successful. But I also just enjoy watching football so much that sometimes I end up really liking the defenses that we're going against in a weird way. Like, oh, this guy does this really well and this really well. And, in the summertime, I kind of felt that way about these guys. Like, man, I can't wait to play them because obviously they do a great job on defense and they're really well coached, but it's just so unique of a style of defense that it's fun to go against stuff like that. So, like I said, I think our hands are full, but it's going to be a fun challenge for our guys. They're going to test us in a lot of ways.
Thanks for your time, Tim.
All right, Will.
Paul J to finish us out.
There we go. Coach, Octavius Evans seems to have taken that step forward this year, really made some nice catches, has gotten open and got some yards after contact. What's been the difference with him this year?
Yeah, Octavius, I call him Dr. Ock, like the guy that's going after Spider-Man, and or short, I call him Doc. But really proud of that guy. I think in a one-on-one scenario, he causes a lot of problems, right? Like there's certain receivers that are going to play a lot of positions, and there's certain guys you're going to stick on the outside and say, if you play him one-on-one, you're going to struggle. And he's that type of guy that can be dominant on the perimeter. But I was most proud of him this week because he had the fumble right before half, and he was trying to make a great play and could have really gone in the tank. But we talk a lot here about having a neutral mindset and, detaching from the results, just find joy every play. I thought he responded really well. He came in at halftime, kept his chin up, talked about his technique and what happened on the fumble. He came right back the first play, the second half. We made sure to throw him another pass just to let him know that we're proud of him and that we're going to keep coming to him. And he caught the ball with great ball security and kept playing. So I think I've been more proud of that with him, just him keeping a neutral mindset and understanding that the ball is going to find him. And guys in this offense, every week it's going to be different guys. But if they do the things right off the field, manage themselves to get lined up correctly and run the routes correctly and be where they're supposed to be, the ball will find them. I think he's embraced that part of his game. And I think if he continues to do that, he'll keep catching more passes. And people that leave him one-on-one, we're going to get him the ball.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Paul.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much for your time.
Wait a minute, Wayne has.
All right, guys.
Apparently.
I'm out.